Hey, hey, we're the Monkees. People say we monkey around. Way too busy singing to put anybody down.
That'll be $10,000.
There you go.
Hey everybody, it's Adam, live and in person for you. Hey everybody, it's Adam, wonder who he'll interview. Call me Adam.com.
You have your show coming here to 54 Below, a little bit of Broadway, a little bit of rock and roll on July 7th, 10th, and 11th at 7 p.m. What are you looking forward to most about this show?
People showing up. I hope.
Of course people are going to show up.
I hope so. It's been an interesting challenge. I don't mind telling you, it's a little bit outside my comfort zone. Not so much the rock and roll stuff, but doing the Broadway tunes in this context. I've done a lot of Broadway and shows and national tours, and playing the character, being in the show, but doing standalone songs, just out of Broadway songs. And it's funny because when I started working up material, most of the songs I thought would work, they didn't work for me, and then my musical director started coming up with songs that I never thought would work, and they do work. It's tough to find songs Broadway songs, musical theater songs that stand on their own, without the context of the show, to see them in. Even though people, in this environment will recognize them, but to be able to just perform them without the lead up to it and the dialogue after and before, it was an interesting challenge. But we've come up with a few songs, and then the rock and roll tunes, of course, are the big Monkee hits that I was lucky enough to sing the lead on.
Yes.
And I was blessed to have these amazing writers who I talk about in the show, Neil Diamond and Boyce and Hart and Carole King and Jerry Goffin and Barry Mann and Cynthia Wilde and Diane Hildebrand, all these incredible writers that I had writing for them. A producer came and said I want to do a CD, record the shows, 3 of them, July 7th, the 10th, and 11th.
Yes.
And we're going to release a CD.
Oh, that's going to be terrific. People are going to love that
I hope
because
so.
it'll be something that they can then not only come and see you live, then they have something that they can buy later to remember.
Yeah.
Don't be the bunny, don't be the stew, don't be the dinner, you've got better things to do. It ain't no joke, that's why it's funny, so take your cue. Don't be the bunny, don't be the bunny.
One thing you touched on that you said this show is bringing you a little bit out of your comfort zone, and I think that's terrific because usually when we do something that's out of our comfort zone, it becomes amazing. It becomes a real moment for us.
Well, I hope so.
And
I'm nervous as hell about it.
Oh, I think that's great that you're taking that risk for it. Yes. With the Monkees, you sold over 65 million records. When was the moment that you decided that you wanted to come into musical theater?
Well, looking back, I was always a fan, but I lived in Los Angeles, and there wasn't much theater, and still isn't certainly compared to here. And back then, very, very difficult and very unusual to cross over between anything, TV and movies and theater and musical. But I remember being a fan. My father was a singer, light opera and Mario Lanza kind of stuff. So he would have albums around. I remember watching West Side Story in Oklahoma and being a big fan of it. And I'm wondering, I wonder how you get into that. How do you do that? As a child, I was thinking about it. And then the Monkees came along, and like I mentioned earlier, if you look back, it was a little bit like a Marx Brothers musical movie. A half-hour little Marx Brothers movie with singing and dancing and comedy and shtick and stuff. So in a way, I was doing it on the Monkees show, playing a character and singing on the show. And then after that, I got lucky and was offered a couple of things. But the first really big break was in the 90s. I did Grease here on Broadway and on the national tour. And that got me going, but I still lived in Los Angeles. And then eventually I started getting other shows. A funny thing happened on the way to the Forum, and then Aida, the Elton John, Tim Rice musical here on Broadway, and playing the villain, which was great fun. And most recently, Hairspray in London in the West End.
Oh, terrific. Well, I know everybody watching, we actually have to wrap it up, unfortunately. But everybody watching, I know, is going to come get their tickets to Micky Dolenz, a little bit of Broadway, a little bit of rock and roll, and I am a believer that it's going to be a great show.
He'll get the dirt and the scoop and the story, for he happens to be in the know. Just ask anybody who's had 'em. Adam lives for the business of show. Call me Adam.com.